Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Punching Up with Sean Conroy. I am Sean Conroy. This is me, Punching Up. On today's episode, I have a conversation with Carl Tart. Carl is currently a writer for Saturday Night Live. He's written for many other television shows, including Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Mad TV. He's also a performer. He was one of the stars of Grand Crew, which ran for 2 seasons on NBC. I've also had the privilege of performing with Carl many times in improv shows at the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater, and it's always a treat. This conversation was also a treat. I hope you enjoy it. Here we go. Carl, thank you so much for being here. It is great to see you. You're in New York right now, correct?
Yeah, I'm in New York City, and the sun is right in the south.
Well, I'm just going to use the same thing I said when I first saw you, which is you look like an old school film noir private detective right now with the sun coming through the blinds on you.
Yeah.
And you're in New York to start the next season of SNL. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah.
Have you guys started yet?
We start tomorrow.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we start tomorrow. Tomorrow's like we've done some stuff already. We've done some writing, just like getting some preseason in, but we start the real deal tomorrow.
Cool. Well, we'll come back to your SNL journey, but I just want to start at the very beginning. And can you tell me about the very first writing job you landed in television and what that was like, how you ended up there and what you did to get that job?
Yeah. So the very first writing job I had in television was in 2016. I got hired as a writer on the Mad TV reboot.
Okay.
And they had picked, because it was a really quick process. They had picked like 50 people from each theater, or like 25 people from each theater.
What theaters are you talking about?
Like the Groundlings, the UCB,
Okay.
the improv theaters, and then the Comedy Store and the improv, like their main performers.
So they had a couple hundred people all together that they were looking at.
Yeah, because there was a quick process, so they couldn't do like general auditions.
Right.
So they just went to all the comedy theaters in LA and were like, just give us like 50 people who you recommend.
Okay.
And
I never
25
heard
people.
anything. I never heard anything.
Go ahead. Hey, listen, I don't know. But yeah, so I made it to one of the later rounds of that audition process, and did not get hired as a performer on the show, but they liked my not packet. They liked my ideas basically, and they were like,
the stuff you did as a performer they liked.
Yeah. And they were like, would you want to be a writer on the show? And at first I was kind of like, no. Like, I auditioned to be a performer on the show. Like,
I'm a performer.
Yeah, what you saying? I'm ugly? And and then I was like, you know what? Let me just take this job because I never written on a show before, and it would be cool to do that and just like kind of take my ego at the door, and was like, no, I'm gonna take this job. I'm gonna do it, and it was a great experience, and that show ran out of money toward the end of the season. So basically it taught me how budgets on shows work, because they were every idea we would pitch, they'd be like, we don't have that in the budget. We don't have that in the budget to do that. We like, can you just write something in front of a green screen?
No, they can't wear hats. Sorry, Carl.
Yeah.
There's no budget for hats.
There's no budget for hats. You're asking for a lot. Like, is there anything there? That's the wardrobe closet. Can you go in there and find something they can do? And that was a good experience. It taught me how to be in a room. It was a very different, but also
how many people in the room at that point?
On the room at that point, there was, let me count. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 10 of us.
Oh, so like not overwhelming. I mean, a large room, but not incredibly overwhelming.
Not overwhelming at all. And there was a lot of people who wrote on the original show, and so you kind of just got like, their perspective on sketch writing, and which was really cool. And it was just a fun experience. The showrunner at first was this guy Scott King, who was on the original show,
Mm-hmm.
and then he left toward the end, and then I just made a lot of cool friends on that show. A lot of people who I've worked with since, and I did get to do some performance stuff on the show, which was cool,
Great.
and that was a really fun experience. But what I used that time to do was write a pilot, because at the time my improv group at the time we were called White Women, but now we're called the Big Team. Um, my teammate Lamar Woods had gotten a writing job. He had gotten staffed on a show, and I wasn't even thinking of that as like a option really. Like I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even think to, but when he did it, I was like, oh, I kind of want to do that too. And then he showed us how much money he was making every week, and I was like, oh, I definitely want
I
to do that.
definitely want to do that.
Yeah, yeah, like a weekly job at this point where I'm like auditioning, trying to book stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh yeah, I want to try that. And
Can I just ask, Carl, so and this I would say even up till now, if I met you now, uh and I said to you, what do you do? How would you respond to that? What would your response be?
I would say right now I tell people I'm a TV writer,
Okay.
but
And what would
and
you
then
have said back in 2016?
in 2016 I would have said I was a bouncer at a bar. Um, yeah,
Don't fuck with me.
yeah.
Um,
But yeah, I back then I also like when I got that job, I was like, I'm a TV writer.
oh,
I would say
okay.
writer, and then I say writer, and most of the time because that's like uh not ordinary job, people ask how I did it, and I go, well, I'm a comedian too,
Right.
and so that's how I got into it.
Right.
I do both. I'm an actor and a writer.
Right. So you saw what Lamar was doing and you're like, I want to do that too. I'm already writing in a room. I'm going to write a pilot. What was that process like?
That was just me literally asking him, what did you do to get that job? And he was like, my pilot. You send your pilot around as a calling card, an original pilot. Back then, people would also do specs, but that was when specs were falling out of fashion.
Right.
So because shows can't read the specs, so like you write a spec. Back then, everybody was like, I'm gonna write a spec for The Office, but you can't. The show can't like The
The
Office can't read
office
the
can't
spec.
read it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so those were kind of falling out of fashion. So they were like, write an original pilot.
Mm-hmm.
And so I used the time that I had in the room because for that show, especially when they ran out of money, I was just kind of like writing one sketch or two sketches, and I knocked those out in like an hour. But I'd
Mm-hmm.
be there all day, so I would just like kind of be chopping away at my own original pilot. And I
Uh-huh.
wrote a 30 page pilot, and I got my friends Phil Jackson and Lamar to
Uh-huh.
read it over, and my buddy Aaron Covington, and my friend Kyle McFadden, who I was living with at the time, who wasn't working on a show, but he's like such a film and TV buff that he just knows how a good script works.
Right.
And so I got all their different perspectives on it, and they were all like, "This is good, this is good," and I sent it to my reps and was like, "Hey, this is ready to go. Can we start auditioning for getting into rooms?" And right at that time, Renee Goubet, who's a friend from UCB, was on a show called Brockmire, and they were looking for. I'll just say it bluntly, they were looking for a black writer because they had this character on the show that was a black kid, and they were like, we just want like a young black writer in here to kind of give a perspective on this kid.
And
I
you,
didn't
as it turns out, you were young and
young
black,
and black.
so
Yeah,
that worked
yeah,
out.
that worked out for me. And so I went into that room and I also gave like pitches on other stories and stuff like that. And they
Right.
were like, "Oh, great! Like you can you write generally too." I was like, "Yeah,
You
I'm a
can write you can write other things than young and black. You have
yeah."
other worldly experiences.
I have otherworldly experiences, and that turned out to be uh, a great like stepping stone for me because that was like my first like regular room, and I got a script. I got a script on that show. I co-wrote a script on that show, so that was cool, and that took me to other projects. I just started getting opportunities to like write on these in these mini rooms. I wrote on a show called Sneakerheads right after that.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote on a couple like small like MTV shows and like, just started to get I was saying yes to like every opportunity that came along
Right.
writing wise. And that led to me getting staffed on my first network show, which was called Ghosted. And that was on Fox, and that starred Craig Robinson and Dean. That started Craig Robinson and Adam Scott.
Okay.
And that was my first like real like network. That was a show on Fox. It had 10 episodes, and that was like my first experience being in that type of room, in a network room, and it was tough. That was a tough gig.
Why do you say it was tough? What was tough about it?
I was the new kid. I
Yeah.
was younger than everybody. Everybody had a bunch of experience on other shows. And I was just kind of like just learning my way in how to be in a room, learning about this story stuff, because that's always like a thing in writers' rooms. If you get into a writer's room, everybody's gonna be like, oh, that person's good at jokes. Oh, that person's good at story. Story is like always, and you kind of don't know the difference because you like for me, I was like, I know how to tell a story. I know there's a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yes.
So like what is a person that's good at story? Why tell me why this particular pitch or idea is not good? And that's what made it hard for me because I didn't know. I didn't know what like wait a minute. Why did what I say not saying that I think every pitch I had was
right.
like that, but when you start hearing this like, oh, this person's really good at story. This person's good at story. And then you go, well, I mean, obviously, like what if I'm hearing a story and they go and the whole premise is this person is going to get killed by a ghost, and then they walk into a abandoned factory and they turn around and they walk into the bathroom with the flickering light. There's going to be no ghost in there, or they're going to like I'm like, okay, I get that. Why is that pitch not like they're just like, oh, it's just we're gonna try to find another pitch.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you feel like your mind has changed about that at all? Like now having been in there, you feel differently about that, or what's your take?
If I'm being completely honest, Sean, no. I still don't know what makes good story and what doesn't.
Okay.
Like I still feel like I'm like I don't know fully like what like a story. Like I still don't know what I was doing. But also, I've been in rooms where I was a good story guy.
Uh-huh.
Like on Sneakerheads, they took a lot of my pitches.
Right.
And so I think it was like a age thing. Of course, I think it's like a staff writers are kind of should be seen and not heard type situation.
Right.
And
I also felt like when I started in a room, I did find it difficult to follow sometimes when they would go, this happens, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens. And then somebody goes, well, that's not going to work. And then they go 3 steps backwards and start from the first step and go in a different direction. And I would just get lost as to what we were even talking about sometimes.
100%. 100%. You get a lot. You go like, wait a minute. Maybe this is why I'm not considered good at story.
Because and then you end up like pitching this. Like I'm like, what if we did? Oh no, we already pitched that and it didn't work. And so it was hard.
It was hard. It gets really hard. And you sometimes if the showrunner is not nurturing to that, you go quiet.
Right.
Like, and that's what happened to me on my next big staffing job, which was Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Uh-huh.
And I just kind of in that room, the way that the showrunner's brain works, such a smart person.
Who was the showrunner on that?
Dan Gore.
Oh, Dan Gore. Okay.
Yeah. He's such a smart dude. And they like exhaust every single option they have.
Right.
Before they land on something.
They really beat the story to death.
Beat it to death. They beat it to death. And at that point I was like, I don't know. I'm trying to, and then I started getting into like, I'm pitching jokes, but oh, wait a minute. Right now is not the time to pitch jokes.
Right.
What are we doing? What is happening here?
And what else could possibly happen in this story that we haven't talked about yet?
On this silly TV show.
Yes.
But that's why it was such a good show.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that was a tough experience. And that experience in that room, also, that's when I first got not asked back to a room.
Uh-huh.
And this is a common occurrence in a writer's life. I'm not embarrassed by it fully.
Yeah.
But you go through that. We're not gonna have you back next season.
Right.
Technically getting fired.
Which can hurt, I'm assuming.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it hurts.
fuck you guys. I did some great jokes on this show.
Exactly. I got a lot of stuff in. I
Mm-hmm.
got to play a character that I pitched on the
Mm-hmm.
show. So I was like, damn, I wasn't I was that bad at this that y'all, but it isn't always about that.
Right.
It was just it wasn't the right fit,
Right.
And I my career has been fine since then. I got staffed again. But at that time, I went to my reps and I was like, hey, I think I'm done with the writing experiment.
Right.
Like I think
I feel like I had a conversation with you around that time where you kind of said that to me. You were
yeah.
like, I just didn't enjoy that aspect of it, and ultimately I didn't feel like it was great for me to be there, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I honestly was considering leaving on my own. Like, I honestly was considering being like, yeah, let's. I think I could take a break from this
Uh-huh.
after that season. But then I got the call that it wasn't my choice. So, so I was like, oh,
I
okay.
wanted to do that anyway. Thank
I want to do
you.
that anyway. I was
Yeah.
gonna leave anyway. You can't fire me because I quit. And so I definitely at that point was like, oh, I think I'm done. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and go full on acting. Like and I had a renewed sense of drive with acting and knew
Mm-hmm.
what I was gonna have to do. And it did. I mean, that didn't work. Like it worked out. It worked out after that, and that year in between, I what I told my reps was from now on with writing, unless it's one of my friends' shows or a show that I really believe in, I know that I don't want to be in a room anymore that I don't love being
Right.
in because it's kind of draining. And it was also kind of like mind trippy when I would go back to the UCB green room at night. And because I felt like there were times where I just felt like, oh, I'm not funny. I'm not good at this.
In the
And
room.
then yeah. And
Uh-huh.
then I would go to UCB at night and get that validation from the crowd
Right.
doing a Herald or doing a regular show or doing an Ass Cat or whatever.
Right.
Like I was like, okay, so I am good at this. I am this
I
is where I
certainly
belong.
enjoyed your work at ASCAT, Carl. I'll
Thank
be
you so much.
honest.
And
Yeah.
likewise, we've had some fun Ass Cat.
Yes, we
Uh,
have.
I enjoy your shirt selection.
All right, take it easy.
But
I should have
yeah,
worn one of those shirts today. I'm sorry.
yeah, one of your Ass Cat shirts.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of cufflinks?
I don't. I don't. I'm
Yeah,
not a cufflink person. Just the shirts.
just the shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I needed that validation from
Yeah.
the crowd
Right.
after being in the writers' room and just being like, oh boy, this is not. I'm not. I would pitch something and it would get met with silence, and then like they would move on to something. Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie to you. They would move on to something that I thought wasn't funny at all,
Mm-hmm.
and I would go, wait. So why is my thing bad?
Now, are you talking story stuff or joke stuff?
Both.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and again, joke wise, I got a lot of stuff on the show.
Right.
Once we started doing the rewrites, that's where I had an opportunity to shine, and that's been on every show that I've been on. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I was on Ghosted, they would kind of let me like almost run the joke room sometime, like,
Right.
or they would send me off to like just go and pitch a ton of jokes on this, and a lot of them would get in, would make the script once we did rewrites and stuff, and
Can I follow up on jokes a little bit because I want to get back to the career stuff, but I just want to follow up
yeah,
since you brought up the joke thing. First of all, Ghosted was a network show or no?
yeah, it was on Fox.
It was on Fox, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine obviously was a network show. Did
Mm-hmm.
you feel like obviously there's a different area that jokes are being pitched in
Mm-hmm.
those network shows? Like you can't do stuff on network TV that you can get away with on FX or whatever.
Yeah.
Did you feel like that affected the way you pitched? Did you try to pitch in a direction of like, I'm going to say something that is more likely to get on at Fox or more likely to get on at I forget, Brooklyn Nine-Nine was NBC, is that right?
It moved to the season I joined. It was the season that it got canceled and then picked up again
Uh-huh.
at NBC.
Okay.
So I literally had my meeting on the show, and it got canceled the day after.
Such
And
a
I was
good
like,
feeling.
no.
Yeah.
But then it got picked up
Uh-huh.
at NBC. And so yeah, still network jokes. I had never written on a show. I mean, I guess I don't think it was like a difficult transition because
Mhm.
I just know like, oh, you can't cuss. Like
Right.
you can say pretty much anything, you just can't cuss.
Right.
Like, and so I definitely, uh, I would pitch what I found the strength of mine to be pitching in those rooms is
Hmm.
improvising as the character.
Dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for me, and it really helps me on this show too. But improvising as the character, what would they say in this moment? What would they
Right. Well,
what would
that's so
happen?
funny because, I've done a lot of animation, and that's exactly how I feel in animation rooms is I
Yeah.
just adopt the character in the scene and say whatever and then say get this down,
Yeah. Yeah.
because everything that comes out of my mouth is fucking gold. But yeah,
Absolute gold.
it really helps to inhabit the character and pitch dialogue that way.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
so that's fun. So okay, so you are not asked back at Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You decide
Hmm.
that you finally are gonna go full on for the acting thing.
Hmm.
And what happens after that?
After that, I book a pilot for Comedy Central.
Mm-hmm.
And I book a couple like under five, not under five, but like guest stars and co-stars and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually a pretty decent year, and I was still living off the money I made
Right.
at Brooklyn, so I wasn't hurting at that time. But I was also booking jobs, and that felt good. That was like 2019
Mm-hmm.
and early 2019. Brooklyn Nine-Nine was over in like July of 2018, so between summer 2018 and summer 2019, I was working a lot, and I got to book a pilot, which helped me out tremendously. I booked a pilot that was on Comedy Central, but it didn't get picked up. It was me and Rob Hubel actually, and
Not a fan. Not a
not
fan.
a, me and Hubel, and that was really cool. And then
Yeah,
it didn't get picked up.
Hubel's a funny dude.
He's a really funny guy, and I basically I remember I said that I kind of made a little rule for myself that I was like, I don't want to be in a room
Right.
unless it's a friend of mine or a show I really believe in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my reps called me and was like, hey, Keenan Thompson is getting his own sitcom. Do you want to submit to that room? And I was like, yeah, because Keenan Thompson is one of my heroes.
Right.
And so I absolutely want to put in for that room. And so that I met on that job, and that pilot got rewritten a bunch, and it took a year for it to come out for the show to get picked up, and that was perfect timing because at that point it was like a year had gone by that I only worked a little bit, and I did
On
book
this
that pilot.
pilot.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
and then I didn't work on the Keenan pilot.
Oh no, you
That
didn't. Okay, you said
no, no, no.
you only worked a little bit that year on other
Yeah,
stuff.
on other
Got it.
stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Got
I
it.
didn't work on the Keenan pilot.
Got it.
I worked, but the show got picked up, and I
Hmm.
got hired to be in the room,
Oh, great.
and so that was
Was that
cool.
Brian Tucker involved with that?
Brian Tucker was involved with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was Jackie Clark
Oh, okay.
and David Casp got put in there too. They were the showrunners, and their style of show running was so great. It was
Hmm.
much more less math like and much more just like fun,
Uh-huh.
and that I thrived in that room, and I felt like my pitches were respected. I felt like I was valuable to that room. I don't even want to put like I don't even want to say like I felt respected because it puts like some onus on other people. But for me personally, I felt like I was valuable to that room. I felt like
You were not playing right field.
exactly,
Hmm.
and that felt good. And I was able, again, pitch jokes. I know what will be funny with Keenan say, so I would kind of do my Keenan impression,
Right.
and a lot of stuff happened. And Chris Red was on that show too, and I know his voice, so it was like a good balance of like, oh, this is like the type of room that I manifested kind of what type of room I wanted to be in. Like
Great.
I said, either a friend of mine running it, or because also at the time Phil was pitching the show,
Right.
and I was like, I would like to be in that room. I
Just
would
to be
like to be a
clear,
part of
that's
that.
Phil Augusta Jackson,
Yeah, yeah,
correct?
yeah. Phil Augusta Jackson was pitching the show at that time, and I was like, yeah, if it's a show that A, my friend is running, or B, a show that I really believe in, that's what I want to be in. And I got Keenan, and I worked on that for a full season. But during that season, Phil sells his show, and there's a character that he wants me to audition for, and I start going through the audition process on this show. and I am working on this audition process for like a couple months.
Mhm.
And while I'm also writing, and Jackie is so nice. She's like, yeah, go to these auditions, go do this, go.
Jackie knows what it's like.
Yeah, yeah. And she's let me go and she's let me audition for this show. And I get hired. I get casted in
Sherm
the show.
Jones.
Sherm Jones. And this is Grand Crew.
Mhm.
And this is right around the time where we're ending at Keenan, which is also the COVID time. Like
Oh,
we get
great.
pushed to Zoom.
Mhm.
And but during that process, I finished Keenan in May of 2020, and I started on another show called Connecting right then. And I work on that on Connecting from
And
May to
that was single people trying to hook up with each other on a reality show, right? Connecting.
no, that was a show about Zoom. What we doing right now?
Oh, okay.
About Zoom like friendships during Zoom in the pandemic.
Hmm.
And it turns out people didn't want to watch a show of what they were living in that exact moment.
That's why I never
Um,
watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
yeah, because you were a cop, you were a
Yeah,
detective
that's right.
on petty crimes. You were a petty crimes detective in Brooklyn. But yeah, they we started pre-production on that show right as I was ending on Connecting,
Hmm.
and so I went straight into that, and that was a blessing.
Yeah.
That
And
was
that
that
was
was a real
what, two
blessing.
seasons you did that
Two
for?
seasons of that. We did 2 seasons. We got canceled right when the strike happened.
Did you do any writing on that show?
I didn't. I
Hmm.
did not. I was just an actor on that show.
Don't say just an actor. Actors are very important.
Just a lowly actor. Blah
The writers
blah.
are obviously more important, but the actors are also important. So let me ask you this: these things are all happening, uh, and obviously Phil, you knew before you
Hmm.
went in for that process. So he says, "I have this part I want you to play. Can you come in and audition for that?" And there's a lot. People always go, "Why can't your friend just get you the job?" But it's so much more. It's so much more complicated than that. But
Yeah.
that was how you knew about that, and but all these other things, like what was the thing that got you, for example, into sneakerheads or into was it just script stuff, like you send your script around, or what's
Just
the
sending that
most
script
useful
around.
thing? Yeah.
Yeah, just sending that pilot around. Just
Mm-hmm.
sending that pilot around got me the opportunities on all those other shows, like the little things on Filthy Sexy Teens. I also knew that showrunner too, so you get a read on your script, but you still got to be good.
That's another
Like,
show I did not enjoy watching, um
yeah, Filthy Sexy Teens. Yeah.
because of my
Uh,
own history.
uh, yeah, like those little jobs, and no job is little. There's no small
I
job.
agree with that, by the way. People are always like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. And I always feel like everything is a rung in the ladder. You never know where it's going to go. So it's worth kind
Exactly.
of doing everything, you
You
know?
never know who you're going to meet.
Right.
You never know what the process is going to be like.
Hmm.
And so those jobs, that was literally just my rep sending my script around. Like these jobs would come across their desk, and they would kind of either talk about the demographic of what they wanted. Like we're looking. I mean, at that time there was some racially like motivated because they were getting kickbacks from networks and stuff like that, and they
Hmm.
would look around the room, and it would just be 10 white guys and 2 white women. They'd be like, well, we need a black writer, and we want somebody younger or whatever.
Right,
And I
right.
was just fitting that mold at that time.
Yeah,
And
and it's one of those things where two things are happening. One, you come in and you fit that demographic, and but you, I guess three things are happening. You fit that demographic, which okay, that's fine, but you also have
mhm,
a ton of experience at that
yeah,
point.
yeah,
And I know that you can bring it in the room. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So it's not like people are like, well, this person's only here because of this.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
There's just no way, there's just no way to say that,
yeah, yeah,
Um, but it sounds like your script, and was it the same script the whole time that you were sending around to people?
yeah, yeah. I sent that script around for like 5 years, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote it 2016, and it got me staffed through 2021.
That's great. But it sounds like it was a really strong script. What do you think made it so strong?
I think at the time it was a story that wasn't being told. I'll tell the premise of it. It's
Great.
a guy who goes to jail in 1995
Mm-hmm.
when he's like 15 years old and gets out in 2016, and his neighborhood is gentrified.
Uh-huh.
And so he went to jail because he was getting involved with the wrong stuff back then, gangs and people like that. And then uh he goes to jail when he gets tried as an adult in a case, and he gets 10 years, and he gets out 2016, and
So
his
he had
neighborhood
some
is
bad
like,
behavior in there. He ended up staying for 20 years instead of 10 years after he was.
and you're absolutely right. He got 20 years. I was doing the wrong math in my head, but yeah, he got 20 years, and he gets out, and his neighborhood is gentrified.
So he's back in the same neighborhood, but everything's totally different.
Yeah, he moves back into his he was living in his grandma's house,
Mm-hmm.
and he moves back into his grandma's house, and so the characters are uh, a guy that picked the Uber driver that picks him up when he gets out,
Great.
and that becomes a character, and a girl that he grew up with who he liked is still around. She's still living
Mm-hmm.
in the neighborhood. A person who's trying to buy his grandma's house to turn into like high-rise apartment buildings, and he gets a job at the local like frozen yogurt shop that makes him wear like a pink shirt and stuff, and like just like
16
little stuff like
handles.
that.
16 handles is the name I would go for a frozen yogurt
And
shop.
that's why I needed you in the room. The show didn't get picked up because you weren't in the
Why
room.
aren't they taking any of my pitches? Now, can I ask you this? And you don't have to answer it, but where did that idea come from?
That idea came from my neighborhood that I grew up in, seeing white people there for the first time,
Uh-huh.
and just like the neighborhood that I lived in wasn't like some like awful neighborhood, but
Where
it
was this?
wasn't like South Central LA, Vermont and
Okay.
King area,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't like some bad neighborhood, but it was low income, and then started seeing white people, and I'm like, wow, it's like ladies like walking her dog at 9 p.m. in this neighborhood. This is crazy. Like,
Doesn't she know where she is?
yeah, and turns out she does
Yeah,
because
she
now the
doesn't care.
neighborhood, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Well, that sounds great. I mean, because I always talk a lot about connections, and obviously those help, but it also helps to have really strong material, you
yeah.
know?
You got to be. I think when it comes to connections, there are some time where connections work in your favor when you're not very good,
Mm-hmm.
but uh, also those connections work for you, and you gotta bring it.
Right,
You can't let that person down.
right.
So like, and also sometimes like, yeah, I knew Phil when Grand Crew started casting. I knew Phil, but I had to really bring it in those auditions. And the guys that were auditioning against me were dudes who I'd been seeing on television for a long time,
Right.
and so I had to be good.
So they already had a lot of credits in that area, and that is a thing that affects people's judgment
Yeah,
of.
because the people there know, like, there was a show I auditioned for called The Neighborhood that I think is still on TV, and I got really close, but the guy that they casted, who's a friend of mine, he had just come off of another pilot, and I had
Mhm.
never been on the pilot before.
Right.
And so they literally were like, "Yeah, this guy's got experience. He knows how to do this." Like,
I mean, I've been in the room with casting directors where that discussion has been had, where they go, "Well, this person's great, but this person has IMDb credits, so
yeah,
we know they can do it." And
hmm
it's always the safe decision, which can be very frustrating when you're trying to get somebody in there who you really like, but
yeah,
you kind of get where those people are coming from.
yeah,
Um, okay, so you're on Grand Crew,
hmm
and that lasts 2 seasons, is that right?
2 seasons. Yeah, we got 2 seasons of 10 episodes.
Which is an incredible run at this point for any
Yeah,
TV show.
yeah,
I feel like everything gets canceled after one season, but maybe that's only the
yeah.
things I work on, so maybe that should
Some
tell me
of the
something.
stuff I work on too.
So what happens after that?
After that, we go on strike, and there's a year of just nothing. Nothing's going on,
Right.
and I'm just
Writer's
kind of
strike,
like,
actor's strike.
yeah, writer strike, actor strike. So I'm podcasting. I got my Patreon podcast, which really kept me afloat during that time. And we start getting to the end of that strike, and I start getting a call that I had kind of been anticipating or waiting on for a while, like waiting to happen. And it's the SNL call. They finally started being like, "Hey, we is your client going to submit a tape?" And I was kind of like, "No, like I'm I'm too old to be doing a tape. My like I didn't really want to do that. I didn't really want to do a
Yeah.
tape, and I had kind of given up on that dream a little bit.
You
And
you just wanted to walk in there and do an audition for them.
yeah,
Yeah.
or like at least like a showcase, and then
Mhm.
and I was like, I don't want to do a tape. I don't really like it. I don't have like characters that I could just put on a tape, you know?
Right.
Like I know people probably listening to this will who are comedy bang bang, we're like, yeah, you do a ton of characters. That's not the same thing.
Right.
Like that's not the same thing. First of all, that's just my voice.
Right.
Like it's not me performing this character.
Uh-huh.
Like and I wouldn't do trombone shitty in a SNL audition, you
Right.
know? Like, and so I was kind of like, I don't really come across in tape like that. I don't really like, no, I'm not really trying to do a tape. I'm not really, but if they, and then they called back like a week later and was like, we're having a showcase in LA. Does Carl want to do it? And I said, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so I did the showcase and I had a good showcase,
Where was it?
and that was at Dynasty Typewriter.
Okay.
And they called back. That was on like a Wednesday night, and they called back on like a Friday and be like, "Can Carl fly to LA to test on Tuesday?"
Right.
And so, I mean, fly to New York to test on
The
Tuesday.
famous was this the famous like go into the studio and perform for people?
Yes, yeah.
Scary.
It's the scary moment. You're standing at home base where all the people do their monologue, and all the hosts do their monologue, and you're doing you're doing your thing.
This guy's doing
5 minutes.
trombone shitty? I thought he said he wasn't going to do that.
And I'm like, oh, zip it, ow. Trombone shitty. And I do the test. It's 5 minutes in front of the writers and producers, but you can't see them.
Right.
You're just like doing the test down the barrel of the actual camera, like where the
Mhm.
host does their monologue.
Right.
And I get asked to have me. I get a call, and they're like, "Hey, would you like to write on the show this season?" And I said, "No, thank you." Like,
You were like, "What is this, Mad TV?"
yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I felt. And I was like, no, thanks. It's really not, because in my mind at that time it wasn't financially worth it. I knew that I wanted to be in LA, and I was coming off of 2 seasons of a network
Sitcom.
TV show where I was an actor, and so I was kind of like, I don't want to. It didn't feel like a step backwards, but in a way, it kind of did financially.
An
It's like I
income
can't,
step backwards.
yeah, a huge income step backwards because writers don't make that much on the show.
Mhm.
Just for people, I'm not
Which
gonna
is why the
tell you who
writers
doesn't make.
hate the fucking actors so much.
Yeah, the actors don't even make that much on the show, but at least they're getting the benefit of
Oh,
being
on
on the
SNL.
show.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
at least they're getting the benefit of being seen
Right.
and getting a showcase every week. And so I was thankful and grateful for the opportunity, but honestly, I was like, I don't think that's the best place for me right now. And they were like, okay, like that makes sense, but are you sure? And I was like, yeah, for right now. That was season 49. And then in I was like, I would love to be in it. And they were like, we know, like, it's just right now it's bad timing. We don't have any space for you in the cast for your type. And so season 50 comes along and they call again. I had kind of gotten it out of my head. I was like, all right, they're not. And they call again. And I
So
do
this
that.
time you didn't even submit. They were just looking for you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they call again, and they call me in to come and test again. And so I come back and I test again. And then this time they don't say
Can't
anything. And then
believe
they
he's
call
doing trombone shitty again.
again. Yeah,
Doesn't he
yeah.
get it?
Well, I've unlocked it now. I've unlocked trombone shit. Here's what makes the trombone shitty. Uh, and so I test again, and then they call back like a week later and I was like, hey, can he come and test again?
Oh boy.
Like we whittled it down. Can he come do a new 5? And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like three. This is now my third test that I'm going in for. Like, you guys got to tell me what I'm not doing. But
Right, right, right.
it wasn't a what I wasn't doing situation. It
Right.
just like they just needed me to test again. And so I go back, test again, new 5, trombone shitty in France is what I do that time. And I we do the whole rigmarole meeting thing. After sometimes after you test, they'll select a group of people to come and meet with the producers
Mhm.
and the big boss Lauren Michaels, and they kind of said it again, like, hey, would you consider writing? And I go, look, guys, I said the same thing last year. It would be a great opportunity to be here, but I just can't. Like, where I am in my career right now, I don't think that would be beneficial to me. And they're like, we get it, we understand. And we had some internal talks that I can't get into live. I could tell you about them off.
Okay.
But they told, and they convinced me, and I was like, you know
You
what?
talk you talking to the producers. You had some
Yeah,
internal
yeah,
talks. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And at a certain point, I was just like, you know what? It's the 50th season. It's a monumental season. I'm not working in LA right now. The year post strike was tough,
Mm-hmm.
and for everybody, nobody
Right.
was really working. And I went ahead and decided, you know what? Let's do it. Like, I'll take the writing job. You're offering a writing job, I'll take it. And they offered, and I got to experience the 50th, which was amazing. It was an amazing opportunity.
Right.
And now we're entering season 51, and I'm still there. And again, we can talk off air about
Okay.
certain things, but
I have some ideas, but I get what you're saying. No, no, no. This
yeah,
is all really fascinating because I know lots of people who've been through that process and who have either succeeded or not gotten on the show or because, but I've never talked through start to finish the entire process. So this is really interesting. I also like that you are, you know, and I feel like I want to take a lesson from this. Somebody who goes, "This is what I want, so I am going to try to get this thing I want," as
yeah,
opposed to like, "Hey, whatever happens, happens, and that's good." Because I think that goes
yeah,
back to what we were saying before, where everything is a rung in the ladder, every opportunity is an opportunity, but it's okay to say, "These are the things that I really want, and this is what I'm going to do to get those things."
yeah, yeah. I definitely. I mean, I don't want to sound like some Norma Ray with this, but like it was truly just like,
Do you
look, man, I
use a
don't.
lot of references like Norma Ray in the writer's room?
Yeah, yeah. I'm always trying to get Norma Ray in the
That's your
sketches.
network shit.
Uh, I I really just knew that I didn't want to live in New York,
Hmm.
and I had no interest in living here. And I was like, for this amount of money, and I know that I want to settle in Los Angeles, and I don't want to give up my apartment in Los Angeles because I love my apartment and
Right.
it's cheap and it's bigger and cheaper than any apartment I'll get in New York. And I want to be there. All my friends are there. My community is there. I want to be there.
Right.
And so if I'm not getting the benefit of being on camera here, how is it benefiting me? Because and they go, well, it's good for the resume. And I go, nobody reads resumes anymore.
Right.
And nobody knows who's written on SNL. Like nobody knows.
Right.
And nobody really cares. Like, and so it just at the point I had just kind of let that dream go. You know what I mean? Like I was just like, yeah, I wanted it. I always wanted it. It was always a aspiration of mine.
Hmm.
And but it ain't happening the way I wanted to. So I'm gonna try my luck elsewhere. I'm gonna
Right.
be in LA. I'm gonna audition. I'm gonna try to get on another TV show. And if I'm gonna write, I'm gonna be comfortable doing it. You know,
Right.
and I still have the same rule where it's got to be something I really believe in, or it's got to be one of my friend shows. And my friends all are selling shows now.
Right.
And imagine me working on a show that belongs to one of my friends, and I get to live in my apartment that I'm comfortable in, and
Hmm.
work towards buying a house in a place where I want to buy a house,
Right.
and all that type of stuff. And but then after some talks, I was just like, yeah, it's a process that I think I would enjoy,
Hmm.
and I've never lived in New York, and it would be good to have a little bit of a change, a little bit of a boost, in energy. What this place brings a lot of time, it also brings a lot of noise. And
Where are
I
you
was like, yeah,
where are you living in New York?
Brooklyn Heights,
Oh, nice.
yeah. And
So
and so
is it something that you're enjoying?
I'm
Are you
enjoying it
digging it?
immensely.
Yeah.
I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
It's really awesome. I still don't like New York, but it is like easy to I just spend a lot of time at the job. I spend
Right.
a ton of time there. I mean, I'm like giddy about tomorrow starting again.
Oh, that's great. Um,
So
let me ask you this, since you bring up starting again, I'm just curious to know, and this isn't even just about SNL, this is about overall your process. Like, what is your writing process like? How do you write? You know what I mean?
so me personally,
Mm-hmm.
because improv is such a strong thing in my life, I like to just like improvise a scene, improvise, throw a bunch of stuff at the wall, and somebody will jot that down, and then I'll go off and do a draft on it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like, and also that's how I found myself, deem myself valuable in the room for other people too, which is somebody will say, "You want to pitch on this thing?" And I'll be like, "Yeah," and just like stand there and just like rattle off jokes,
Right.
like because SNL is more jokes than serious dialogue, unlike a
Right.
like a script.
We hope.
So
We hope.
yeah, yeah. So it's just like throwing like just like pitching a ton of jokes and just like chalking a script full of jokes,
Hmm.
and then
So you're not
yeah,
sitting down at the computer and going, maybe it's this.
not necessarily like
Uh-huh.
at a certain point you have to get there. You have
Right.
to like, but that's after you got a Google Doc that's like this long of jokes, and then you go sit at the computer and
Right.
type it out.
Um, do you feel like, I mean, obviously you're a writer, but also a performer. Do you feel like that affects the way you write, that you're thinking about it from the other side of like, how
Yeah,
is this performer going to do this?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm thinking about, that's why like improv is my process, because I'm performing it first. And then, getting into the mind of that performer, knowing what their strengths are, knowing what their weaknesses are, and being like, okay, they're gonna say this and they're gonna do this. Yeah.
Right. Um, so when you say improv, you would say that the UCB had an influence on your career.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for the Second City, IO West, and UCB.
Right. What what would you say? I mean, you talked about how you improvise jokes and dialogue. Overall, what would you say are the skills you took away from those places? Is it just those
Uh,
things?
yeah. I mean, the main thing is the main thing. Yes, handing. So like, if this is true, then what else is true?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and just kind of learning structure, learning heightening, learning like, I never took a sketch writing class.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just knew how to do it from being around UCB.
Right.
Like, and so, and that helped me with my first job to right now. It just, when we do an improv scene and we're taught to like, beat the hell out of the game or whatever, like that's, we're just writing that down. All it is an improv scene that we've written down.
It's literally writing on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never really got that. I never really put that together until much later in my career when I was like, oh, I'm kind of a writer, you know?
I remember hearing Ian Roberts say every comedy scene you've ever seen has game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like every think about it. Think about every character. Think about it all has game.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't think about it. You just for a long time you're just like, oh, it worked or it didn't work, and then
Yeah,
once you start to break it down, kind of what you were saying before about the math of sitcoms. Once you start to break it down, you're like, oh yeah, of course, that's
yeah,
why this thing is so funny, is because of this particular game.
yeah.
Okay, just a couple more things, Carl. I appreciate you taking this time.
Of course.
What shows or movies or comedians or whatever do you feel like really shaped your sense of humor when you were growing up?
Family Guy and 30 Rock and Martin Lawrence and Simpsons. And I think Family Guy is probably the most important show in my whole
Uh-huh.
life. Yeah,
But there's only been like 60 seasons of that show, right?
exactly. So, and I'm 60 years old, and so that has done everything I needed to do. Uh, yeah, Family Guy and Martin are my two, and then 30 Rock
Uh-huh.
and SNL. Honestly,
Right.
like watching SNL,
So what is it about Family Guy that makes that top of your list?
just the sheer amount of jokes
Mm-hmm.
and how the jokes are presented and how there's just no holds barred, like and just like everything they
Jokes are more important than story on that show.
100%. I don't care. The episodes where the story is important make me mad sometimes. Like,
And that could be said, not as much, but that could be said about 30 Rock as well, that it's very much about the jokes, not necessarily
yeah,
story
30 Rock
focused.
feels like a live action cartoon.
Right.
I love shows like that.
Yeah.
Happy Endings was another one that was really funny to me.
Uh-huh. Um, okay. What's something that you have learned in the writer's room that you use all the time? Like, do you have a specific thing you can think of where somebody said, you got to think about this all the time, and it comes back to you whenever you're working on stuff?
Let me think on that because I don't think so.
That's fair.
I
That's
I
a
really
fair answer.
I don't think there's something that I've learned in the writers like I mean yeah like no I don't think so.
Hmm.
I don't think there's anything I've learned in the writers room that I'm like remember this. I think I
Right.
learn more from my friends who do it
Uh-huh.
like and their processes.
Interesting. So what's an example of that?
Just like Phil telling me how he maps story out because
Hmm.
he's a really great story guy
Hmm.
and how he maps it out and what he thinks on like how he uses his improv skills to map story out
Right.
and if this is true then what else is true and how he bases how he lets the character inform the story and where they're going.
So you can't just sit down and go, I'm going to write a story and then you're done.
Yeah, you got to think about it.
I think a lot of people think that that's how this stuff works.
Mm-hmm.
Is well, you sit down and you write a story, and it's like no, it's a little more complicated than that.
Yeah,
Um, I
yeah,
used
you got to
to
map it out.
I used to love I worked on a show called Mr. Pickles for Adult Swim, and people on the message boards would be like, it's so cool that they just give these guys drugs and let them write whatever they want. And it was like, if you guys knew how much we went through in the writers' room to just agonize over each of these stories,
Yeah,
you would be shocked.
Mr. Pickles, I like that show.
Oh, thanks. Not one of your big influences, I see. So Carl, what what advice would you give young Carl just starting out? What would you say to yourself if you had the opportunity to go back in, I guess, in time, right?
I would say trust yourself and don't let like trust yourself and trust your instincts and don't let people get so deep in your head that you begin to second guess what you're
Hmm.
there for.
Right,
Like that imposter syndrome is not helpful to you in the long run.
right.
Know that you're there for a reason.
I think that's so valuable because it's so easy to go, I, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
These people are great. Why am I here?
Yeah.
And then here's my last thing, and I think you this is totally optional, and you should feel free not to answer this. But if are there any stories that stand out in your mind over the years as like this is the craziest thing that ever happened in the writers' room, or this was the most fun I ever had, or this is something that I should never tell anybody, or something like that?
uh I think last year's season of SNL was probably the most fun I've had in the writers room.
Hmm.
Because there's always something going on. The late nights, the early mornings, the pizza, and the energy that the show has, the energy that you the like when they start playing that music on Saturday nights and you know the show is about to happen
Hmm.
and you hear the loudspeaker, you hear the intercom, Gina on the intercom calling people's names and telling people where to be and how much time we've got and stuff. The energy that's in that building at that time, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. It like, and I think that is an experience that doesn't get old for me, and I'm so excited for that. 6 days away is the
Six
first
days.
episode.
Wow.
Yeah,
Um,
and
and just out of curiosity, how many writers in the writers' room there?
I think like 20.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
In my head, I was like, there's 200 people in the writer's room, so it's not that
it
overwhelming.
feels like it,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, like 20.
Um, all right, Carl, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking time to answer all this stuff and
Yeah,
share your journey with us. Can people find you anywhere on social media or anything like that?
yeah. I'm on Instagram at damn it Carl DAMMITCARL.
Great. And then, Dean, do you have anything you wanted to follow up on with Carl?
You mentioned community in there, and you talked about Phil and Lamar and your buddies. And I know a lot of people who are pursuing the writing industry are looking for community.
Mm-hmm.
How important was community for you in your journey, and how would you suggest new and up and coming writers to find a community of support?
I mean, it was the most important thing. Like we come out of the same community. You know how important it was to be on those sketch teams at IO. How important it was to get on Maud Night and Herald Night, meet people who were like-minded individuals that kind of are thinking the same thing as you and thinking in ways that you may not have ever thought. Like I'm so grateful for my friends in professional ways and personal ways. Like we have developed such a relationship where we are so tight that we talk about our own personal problems with each other and also talk about professional issues and stuff like that. And I found that community through the improv community. I think everybody needs like-minded individuals in trying to pursue what they want to pursue. And if you want to be a writer, go take a writing class. Even if you don't think it'll help you, I think just meeting people who also want to be doing the same thing as you. Collaboration is the greatest tool we can have. And I was able to write a pilot that I was lucky enough to have friends who were professionals read my pilot and give me professional notes. And I was able to change it. And that got me jobs and got me insight to where now I can read somebody's pilot and go, yeah, this is what you should change. This is what you should keep. This what, you know what I mean? So I think find a community. We can't do it alone. Like, even if it's just somebody just to read your work, like you can't do it alone. You can't, you have to get eyes on your life, basically. I feel like you gotta have your squad. And I think and having a squad of like-minded individuals, and you find those people within, the communities you want to be in. So even if you don't want to be an improviser or a comedian, I think the improv community, that's the main one I speak to, is it's been the most important thing in my life over the past 16 years. It's been the most important thing. That's where I met y'all. That's where I met like all of my closest friends, like that I have now that aren't, friends from my old school who I still keep in touch with. I grew up in LA, so I still got a lot of homies there that aren't doing the same thing as me. But I spend more time with these guys. And like Phil is in New York right now, writing on another show. And so it's been good to have him here in this transitionary period for me,
That's dope, man. That's dope. And
Yes, that's dope.
yeah, you mentioned that you kind of started as you auditioned as an actor, and then you got the offer to be uh, a writer. How was that fish out of water experience as a writer in the writer's room, finding your voice?
It was tough, man. It was tough that first go round, like because I thought I knew one thing, and turns out it was a whole different thing. That's kind of what I was talking to Sean about, the story part of it. I never realized how important that was to writers' rooms and stuff like that. So it was tough, and again I didn't feel confident all the time. I didn't feel like I belonged a lot, and a lot of times I just didn't feel funny at all. I felt like everybody was gaslighting me. Like everybody who had ever told me I was good at this was lying.
Right.
And I was so lucky to have UCB at that time, going back to the community thing. I was so lucky to have UCB and leave the job and go do shows at night.
And have the audience tell you you're funny. The audience is never gaslighting you.
Exactly. Because they'll definitely tell you when you're not. And so I think that was the most important thing for me. It was a tough experience, but I had to get through it. And that's why
Carl, did you find that, because this is what happened to me. I had the same experience when I started working in a room where I was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on right now. And I've always thought of myself as at least moderately funny. And I'm not sure why this is. But what helped me was finding somebody who was willing to listen to me, who was experienced, who I could talk to and say, this is frustrating to me. Can you help me understand how this is supposed to work?
100%, 100%. That like I had that in every job. Luckily, I had like a friend or somebody, because I was also like embarrassed for those people. Like if they were a person who recommended me, say, you got to get this guy. This guy's funny, and then I'm getting in there and I'm not performing to the best of my ability because I don't trust myself.
Right.
Because I'm scared to talk now. I don't want to say.
I'm not going to say anything.
I'm not going to say anything. And so I would have to go to that person and be like, hey, like, how can I be better at this? And I'm lucky to a couple of those people just were, when I was on Ghosted, it was Sean Clements who was in that room with me, who's a good friend of mine. And when I was on Brooklyn, I had a lot of friends in that room. I had David Phillips, I had Neil Campbell, I had Phil Jackson, and was able to like talk to them and be like, what is this? How should I be handling this? How should I be? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was having people that can be in your corner
Right.
in those times. Yeah. But that's why I say if I would go back to my younger self, to be able to trust myself, because I definitely went the opposite way. Like when I first got in that room and it got hard, not necessarily the Mad TV room, but like the first narrative room I was in, I was like, I shouldn't be here. Yeah. Like maybe I'm not a writer. Like maybe you got to really want this to, maybe just being a funny person don't equate being a writer.
And it's hard. I mean, just talking from the other side of things, when you're running a room like that, if somebody's sitting there not saying anything, you're like, what the fuck, man? What are you doing here? So it's like,
yeah.
And then you have to find this weird balance of like, I don't want to just pitch stuff randomly because I have to keep my voice out there. So it's all very tricky.
Yeah.
What else, Dean?
I think the last thing to ask is, I know you said you had sent your pilot around to get staffed in writer's room, and your agent helped you with that, your representation helped you with that. How did you go about finding your representation within the mix of how you got into the writing game?
So I got my manager, like through word of mouth. Somebody referred me to the manager's office after seeing me do improv. And then I did the CBS Diversity Showcase in 2013, and that helped get some other reps looking at me, and I was able to meet and find an agent through that. And I left that agent since then, but and I'm with a new agency now, which my manager helped me get. But I've been with the same manager since then. So since 2012, I've been with my manager.
And that manager helped you get literary representation.
Yeah. And well, I signed on with the agency as through literary and theatrically.
Cool.
All right, Carl, at Damn It Carl on Instagram. Thank you so much for being here. Good luck, man. Have a fucking great time. What a fun thing to start tomorrow on the next season 51 of SNL. And thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next time on Punching Up. Thanks, everybody. So there you have it, everybody. That was Carl Tart, who, as we speak, is deeply ensconced in Saturday Night Live's current season. I appreciate Carl being here. I thought it was interesting that Carl talked about how people should take a writing class to meet other people who are trying to do the same thing that they are. And as it happens, I teach those kind of writing classes. If that's something that interests you, check out my website, seanconroy.com, and find out more about that. I have some classes starting very soon, and I have some classes starting long after that. So take a look and see what you think. If that interests you, and if it doesn't, that's fine. I appreciate you listening to the show. Now I'm going to go soak my knuckles in salt water to toughen them so I can continue punching up. See you next time.